get us started.
Good evening, everybody. You want to grab your drinks and make your way over, and I encourage everybody to move to
So my name's Andrea Hickey. I'm the senior curator here at MOCA.
and join us.
Maybe I
Just
can
have some quick
gather some
remarks
people in the
this
back to come
evening
forward.
get us started.
There's lots of seats up here. No courageous takers. Okay. Well, I'm glad to see so many people here on such a lovely evening. Support provided by Doreen and Dick Cahoon, Aaron and Eva Wexler, and Great Lakes Brewing Company. In-kind support for the production of My American Dream is provided by Shaheen Modern and Contemporary Art. And of course, we want to thank the many lenders who so generously shared their paintings with us as part of this exhibition. Generous support for Lu Yang Delusional Mandala is provided by Richard and Michelle Gestelnig. And all our exhibitions are funded by our Leadership Circle gifts. Those from an anonymous donor, from Yubal Brisker, Joanne Cohen, Morris Wheeler, Margaret Cohen and Kevin Rahili, Becky Dunn, Harriet Goldberg, Agnes Gund, Richard and Michelle Gestelnig, Donna and Stuart Cole, Toby DeVan Lewis, and Scott Mueller. All MOCA Cleveland exhibitions are supported in part by the residents of Cuyahoga County through a public grant from the Cuyahoga Arts and Culture, the Cleveland Foundation, the George Gunn Foundation, and the continuing support of the Museum Board of Directors, patrons, and members. If you haven't thought of becoming a member at MOCA, please do so tonight.
So we're celebrating constants: the sun, Keith Mayerson, My American Dream, and Lu Yang, Delusional Mandala. Lu Yang, which is on view in our Rosalie and Morton Cohen Family Gallery, is an emerging star, and we're very pleased to present her first solo museum exhibition in the United States, with a very special thanks to independent curator Barbara Pollack, who couldn't join us tonight, for her stewardship of this project and foresight in presenting Lu's work. Lu lives and works in China and makes her work with an incredibly diverse array of forms and subjects, something you'll see upstairs. However, all the works are video, so more on the subjects. Her work investigates neuroscience, biology, medical technology, the history of the internet, and takes a really deep interest in world religions as well. Just a pretty broad range of ideas. Constant is the Sun, which is presented in the Mueller Family Gallery on the 4th floor and in spaces throughout the museum, including Stair A behind you, which is an installation space. The screen here was playing a video. That'll be back on later. And there's a series of beautiful clock sculptures on our atrium wall above the elevator, and 2 murals behind you as well. So art's all around tonight, which is really exciting. And as Andrea mentioned, it's our 3rd regional biennial group exhibition that presents artists working in Ohio and the Great Lakes region. The exhibition's art practices that we see. Before I go any further, I want to be sure to thank all of the artists for their incredible contributions, their true diligence, very collaborative approach, and above all, inspiring ideas. I didn't see everyone yet, but artists, if you're here, if you could please stand when I say your name so that our audience can acknowledge you and say hello later. I'll begin with Acerbic, which is a collective of Donald Black Jr., Allie McLean, and Gabriel Gonzalez from Cleveland. Yay, there we go. Liz Moggins, also from Cleveland. Darius Stewart, also from Cleveland. Kate Sopko and Angela Beeler of Cleveland and Troy, New York. Tyree Guyton and Janine Whitfield, who's a key contributor to that project. They're here. The Institute for New Feeling, which is a collective of Scott Andrew, Agnes Bolt, and Nina Sarnell from Pittsburgh. Transformasium, which is a collective of Dana Bishop-Root, Ruthie Stringer, and Leslie Stem from Braddock. Danielle Julia Norton from Columbus. Corinne Vermeulen from Detroit. There she is. And Matt Eich from Charlottesville, Virginia. So again, I want to give you all a very sincere thank you for your work, your spirit. It's been an incredible pleasure to work with you, and we look forward to doing so in the future. Before I hand off the microphone, though, I'd like to say a very special thank you to our exhibitions team and crew. Very special thanks to Megan Lykins Reich, Deputy Director, Andrea Hickey, Senior Curator, Ray Jaware, Senior Exhibitions Manager, Kate Motlach, Registrar and Manager of Museum Records, Paul Sidorenko, Senior Preparator, and to everyone at MOCA who helped produce these incredible exhibitions. It's always a team effort here, and it's constantly inspiring to be part of this remarkable group. I laugh at constantly because of the exhibition title. And I know last night wasn't a great night for Cleveland, but I want us all to remember what happened last year. You all know what I'm talking about, right? Okay. And now, Megan Lykins Reich and Keith Mayerson, a very prolific artist, and who has a multifaceted vision of American history, which you'll see upstairs, and one of the nicest people I've ever met, also a native Ohioan, will lead us in a discussion about Keith's work in the exhibition. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening, everybody.
I would like to encourage anyone who's standing who would like to sit to come to the front or fill in on the sides. We're going to talk for about 20 minutes. And the galleries are open upstairs if you're interested in going there, if your feet get a little tired if you're standing. Before we launch in, it is important at this moment to acknowledge two other artists who are in the house, Jay and Wadsworth Gerald. If you could please stand, or at least acknowledge, stand up. Jay Gerald was in our last regional, and tonight they are celebrating their 50th anniversary. Woo!
Congratulations.
You'll be hard-pressed to find more spirit in the house than in those two people, so we thank you so much for sharing this special occasion with us. I also want to see by raise of hands, how many people here are artists who participated in the Artists Trust Liz Moggins project? Awesome. So thank you all for coming and being with us tonight and being artists here in Cleveland. We appreciate you. So it is my pleasure to introduce you to Keith Mayerson, who you may have heard is an okay guy, who we kind of like. He's also an incredible artist, and his work is on view in our Toby Devon Lewis Gallery. And after we opened the building, and we've been doing shows in that gallery for almost 5 years, we've been hearing questions like, when are you going to do a painting show? When are you going to do a painting show? So we were like, oh, you want a painting show? All right. How about 185 paintings in a 1,200 square foot gallery? We'll do it. So Keith is a painter's painter. He is a painter who represents a variety of techniques, histories, meaning, all in one body of work that's connected under this idea of my American dream. So as with all good painting conversations, I'd like to start by talking about comics. So Keith is very inspired by and influenced by comics. So tell us a little bit about how this started and how it informs the way that you look at your practice as a painter.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. Thank you so much for coming. I am so honored. This is my first museum solo show, and it couldn't be in a better place than MOCA Cleveland. This is a great institution. I'm so honored to be part of the lineage of all the wonderful artists I've showed there before, now, and in the future, under the wonderful guidance of Jill Snyder, who's really just done amazing things to really push the discourse. I really think that museums are about teaching as well as the edifying experience of art, and truly you've made this town a better place. Thank you so much. And you know, it's such a great art town because of the Cleveland Museum of Art and so on. And everybody that's worked with me here has been incredibly professional and terrific, friendly and warm and loving. And of course, including Megan, who I couldn't have asked for a better
amazing things.
I am a Buckeye at heart. I was born in Cincinnati. I'm very proud to say. My dad is but we moved out of Cincinnati fairly soon to go to Denver, where I was born and raised. We didn't in Denver have as good of museums as this, and so really it's gotten better. Access to art. That helped me get a job at the School of Visual Arts, teaching comics as a lead comics teacher for over 26 years. I'm now at USC in California, where my husband and I reside. But I love the language of comics. One, comics are for everybody. Do the work that is going to excite me, that's going to edify me, that's going to give me a meditation for me, especially as an older person. That's an optimistic kind of image that makes me feel good about the world. But also I think about the bigger picture, how it's going to fit into the schema of my American dream. As I mentioned, most of these paintings came from the last 10 years, especially post 9/11, but some snuck in earlier. I started out doing appropriation, being a kid of the pictures generation, taking images that pre-existed, but I wanted to penetrate the image and make something emotional and warm about it. And so my style got a little looser in the earlier paintings. I was trying to get some batteries that were operating that engine. I have icons here in the show. Being a psychoanalyst, these paintings to project our unconscious on the wall with like smiley faces. And like cartoons earlier, I started saying appropriation. What if you can make those cartoons come alive? What if you can make James taking images of pre-existed and Gorky and those guys were following Jungian theory and do automatic drawing and all those images and layer and layer and try to hide. I want to try to illuminate them more and fulfill sort of more Renaissance type space into them. As I get older, I realize that the old masters are the old masters, and like anything that's really well made, sometimes they spend a lot of time on their work. So sometimes now it's harder for me to let go. But I realize in the old masters, in those negative spaces, there's a lot of abstract kind of moments.
You go upstairs, you see the more tightly rendered works. Those are from a little later. The more looser ones are a little earlier.
Image that I painted that's in the show is actually from graduate school and super tight. But really, Picasso said when you draw a circle without an aid of a compass, its imperfection is what's you about it or your style. For me, I try to throw my ideas now of art history on the back burner and kind of like Proustian Madelines, I'm looking at these images and trying to have the image hold the emotions and the feelings to it, and how it's not like the photo is what's me about it or what's my style.
There are two figures in the exhibition, in addition to your husband Andrew, who play out throughout the narrative: LeBron James and James Dean. So talk a little bit about your choice of those two figures, LeBron James being a more recent choice, so maybe perhaps start with James Dean. Why does he recur so often in the work, and what is the symbolism of his presence in My American Dream? And then why did you choose to focus on LeBron James with this new body of work?
Way back in grad school, I'm going to age myself, my own Private Idaho came out, and Keanu Reeves was so cool, and he became sort of an avatar.
Keanu Reeves images, but then at one moment, I think it was during Constantine, I had like this dizzy moment where I had to go to the concession stand and think like, oh my gosh, maybe Keanu is a bad actor. I don't think that's true anymore, but James Dean really was a good actor, and he comes from method acting, and like a method actor, what I try to do is really do the research about everybody that I'm trying to paint, really thinking about who they are, reading about them, listening to audiobooks, listening to their music, watching their movies of their actors, and trying to place myself in their shoes. And so hopefully there's something personal that comes out, while at the same time I'm trying to pay homage to who they are historically as figures, but also allegorically what they could represent. James Dean was a gay man, it's well proven and recorded, or at least Hollywood bisexual. He followed the heels of another famous gay actor, Montgomery Clift, and he really wanted to give a voice to youth culture. He also wanted to be a great artist and be on Mount Olympus along with Picasso, Michelangelo, and the rest. In the 3 films that he made, he really did change culture. Elvis was inspired by him to be Elvis. John Lennon was inspired to be John Lennon. I don't think Woodstock would have happened without James Dean. And so for me, James Dean is a figure in those movies that really changed culture, and I love him and he's great. However, he did live a short life. He got in a car crash at age 24. It was sad, but he did his job. Whereas LeBron James, how can I have a show called My American Dream in Cleveland without putting LeBron James in the show? Am I correct?
If you know LeBron, just tell him to come to the show sometime this season.
So I'm friends with Art Spiegelman, the guy who did Now. So he said, you really need a narrative thread where people can understand, because it's a nonlinear narrative, that this is a story. And I love LeBron. I love him for his basketball. I love that he is the world's greatest athlete, even better than Michael Jordan. I think it's been proven. He doesn't have the issues of gambling. I love Muhammad Ali, the only other sports figure in the show, but some people say it might have been misogyny. Well, whatever. But LeBron is pretty perfect. And like Ali, he's like a real-life superhero. Not just for what he does in sports, but what he gives to the community. that he wanted to, absolve Cleveland of its curse, which he wonderfully did, and I record that moment in the painting that you'll see the block. But also that he gives back to his community, he gives back to education and Macon. He has his own media company, but he wants to have really good media that's being there, put forth to make the world a better place. In everything it seems like he does, it's about the bigger picture. I was listening to early hip hop, which is fantastic. I was playing LeBron, but I also, listening to this podcast, realized that he loved Mozart and classical music. And so I ended each of these paintings with a magic flute, because of course he wants to make magic. And being a spiritual guy, I feel like there is a heaven he wants to get in. And with the block painting, I feel it was almost like Michelangelo's David, where it's like the finger of God is touching his fingers, and he's like going for the higher realm, right? Making the world a better place. I have good news that I just talked to the person. The block was a painting that was given to the MOCA auction in order to keep this spirit alive. And the person who bought the block said that LeBron James actually liked the painting and wants to sign it. And I was like, let LeBron sign it wherever he wants. And
right here in MOCA is where I wanted to sign it, actually. On it, wherever, but let's do it here. That's awesome.
So I love him, and I'm glad that he approves. Thank you.
That's wonderful. So in addition to these iconic figures, a figure who plays a strong role in the body of work is your husband, Andrew. And it is Pride Week. And so let's talk about your decision to start painting your private life and your experience and your life with Andrew. When that happened and how it sort of changed your perspective on the body of work.
I met Andrew 26 years ago when I was in grad school. And as I mentioned, we got married the first Sunday that we could. And of course I love him to death. And actually pledged each other to love each other through a journey. You'll see in the marriage meeting upstairs in one moment. The picture generation, David Hamm is probably the greatest artist alive, said that all artists are followers of Duchamp. The guy took a urinal to the gallery and called it the fountain. He called it art to make the first conceptual art to make you figure out what is art. A lot of artists take things that pre-exist and put their own spin on it. And I had this epiphany at a certain point when I looked around the studio. I'm like, hopefully I'm putting a new spin on these images, but I wasn't the originator. I wasn't the author, ultimately, of the source image. And what if that can happen? I love the Beatles, but the Beatles always spoke through different avatars. It wasn't they who were depressed, it was Eleanor Rigby. But then post-Beatles, John and Yoko started writing and singing songs about their own life. And because they were so good and the music was so profound, other people found their way in. Art historically, I love Manet. And Manet would always paint the scenes from his life, but because he was a smart guy, a lot of the work related politically to things outside of itself with a painterly touch to make you feel what it is that Manet felt about that subject matter. So, with a little bit of chutzpah, I started painting pictures of Andrew, hoping that people would like it, but it made me feel really happy in painting our dogs and our life in California and all of our dreams. And like any great epic, like the Ten Commandments, there's always that familial story of like that family in the center of it, which for me is sort of the heart of the exhibition. And certainly this is a show about, who we are, but our great America, but that personal part is super important to me. Although, unlike Alex Katz painting Ada, Andrew a couple of years ago said, Keith, don't paint any more pictures of me. I'm over it. Move on. And so I keep doing allegorical pictures from the preparation too. I'd love to have your take on it too.
Talk briefly about the structure of the exhibition. It's structured in 3 acts. Can you walk us through how that kind of translates in the gallery?
So I come from theater, I teach screenwriting students too, and oftentimes in theater and screenwriting we have the 3 acts. We have the prologue, first act, second act, and third act, and the finale. In this, the prologue really is a rogues gallery, my parents' wall of their ancestors, of immigrant story, like so many of us, and also Keanu's are falling into a dream, the wizard
begins in Sitting Bull that sort of set the stage. But then usually at the end of a first act, which introduces the cosmology in the world, there's a spark that happens, a crisis, where we have to overcome to get what it is that we want. That for me in the show is a 9/11 painting. I was in New York for 25 years, I witnessed 9/11, and nightmares about it. at first I could only speak through allegory to Spider-Man, King Kong, and so on. But because of the nightmares, because I'm a son of a psychoanalyst, I thought, well, maybe I should paint these things to get rid of the nightmares. Of people falling and being a John Lennon fan saying, oh my gosh, all you need is love. So I painted a scene of that happening, of the event that I witnessed, and it really did help the nightmares. It premiered here in Cleveland, actually, after my friends said you could never show this paint because it's such a sensitive subject, but nobody threw tomatoes. People seem to really get it. And then ultimately, it ended up in the Whitney collection, I'm very proud to say, for their inaugural exhibition. Thanks. Well, it's really didn't work because at first it wasn't about me, it's really about the event. But it acted as a history painting where parents would show their kids what would happen. I would hear a lot of stories and so on. It was very moving for me to be participating in that context. But we'll see that painting upstairs, which begins the second act where people come into their own to get at what it is, what they want, which for me is about the rising of the agency of all people in America and finding their own place of freedom. Which continues through that wall with Judy Garland and Errol Flynn to the beginning of the third act, where hopefully people get what it is that they want, which is my family picture, another picture of the Whitney, pictures of Andrew and I getting married and so on. But then it sort of slides into more turbulent territory with Duck Soup, the great Marx Brothers movies, where somebody makes fun of Groucho as a leader of a new country and he gets really upset and he wants to go to war. Hopefully that's not going to happen. I'm not saying Groucho's alike any political figures we know today. I don't know what I'm thinking. But it goes towards sort of a last judgment. I'm inspired by this show not only by Diego Rivera and Thomas Hart-Benton and their great heroes that tell stories, but Michelangelo Sistine Chapel in The Last Judgment, where you'll see Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, Paul Newman, and obviously Ohio Maven, rising up to a heaven where everybody can be in, no matter what your denomination or your political affiliation. Where James Dean is there, but LeBron James does his famous talk throw, creating sort of heavenly magic. Andrew and I are our pool in Riverside in our own private Idaho. But then at the very end, James Dean is looking at a monkey painted when Bush was the president. For other individuals on our planet, so we could all get along, not only in this nation, that our nation could get along with other nations, that we could take care of this planet that we're all running around on, so we could progress as a people, and this nation and this planet can exist way into the future, not for just for our grandchildren, for our great-grandchildren and beyond. I think we all need to learn the kumbaya of getting along. And my American dream is that we get an America that really promotes that, and that's about that. And I think it's there. And I think we're going to win. And so I'm happy.
Well, thank you. And please another round of applause for Keith's generosity.
Thank you guys for being art lovers. Really, this is why we do it. Every parade needs floats. And I know there are a lot of artists here, and hopefully we could all support one another and support art. Art is about teaching, and I think a museum like this is really edutaining for everyone. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Keith. Thank you all for coming. Just a few housekeeping notes. Our magazine Push is at the front desk that has information on the shows and our programs. There's also a program calendar where you can learn about all the things happening this summer in relation to the shows. I want to thank Sue, Jeff, Christian, Eli, and Jane, our incredible preparation team who gave so many hours to make these exhibitions look amazing.
4 full days for that show upstairs.
We are going to turn this space over into a video gallery. Please take this opportunity to go upstairs. Keith will be in his show on the 2nd floor. Constance the Sun and Lu Yang are on floor 4. You can take the stairs or the elevator around the corner. And there, yeah, no, I'm getting there. Deirdre's like, tell them about the program. There will be bands on our loading docks starting in probably about 20-25 minutes that you can watch from the store or go outside and experience on this beautiful evening. Tweet, Instagram, Facebook, hashtag MOCA Cle. Show everyone how much fun you're having. Thank you so much for coming. We look forward to seeing you again soon here at MOCA. Have a great night.
Thank you, MOCA Cleveland. Thank you, the peeps of MOCA Cleveland.